You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
If you think you've heard everything the libertarian world has to offer, you've got another thing coming. Enemy of My Enemy is a fast-paced podcast that brings hyper-intelligent and qualified libertarians from the left, right, and center together to debate and discuss current events and the hottest topics. Don't settle for slow-paced, predictable shows filled with the same philosophy you've already heard before. Tune into Enemy of My Enemy for something fresh and educational. I look forward to seeing you there.
Our goal at the Chris Spangle Show is to help you sound smarter while talking with your friends. If you struggle to understand politics, we explain it from an independent libertarian perspective with all of the irreverence modern politics deserves. We toss out the screaming heads and put people before political parties and give context to the news to make you think. I'm the host. I'm a 15-year veteran of politics and media, and this show is published every Saturday. It's part of the We Are Libertarians network, and be sure to join Wall Plus for bonus podcasts, the complete archives, commercial-free shows, and more. Subscribe now at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 100.
Wow.
And 89.
Oh, I thought it was on the 100 show.
That was a long time ago. Of East Antonio's favorite podcast, Suck It Juice in the Morning. Jeremiah Morrell. Today I'm joined by Jesse Riddle, producer Zach Burcham today, and my forever co-host, Dakota Davis.
Today's episode, we are joined by Mr. Jesse Riddle. You may know him from Etsy.com if you've ever bought a sticker.
Or that one Mexican restaurant.
That's right. Los Charos.
Or the obelisk talk about 4 weeks ago on this show.
We're going to be talking to Jesse about the city of Newcastle. We have some drama that unfolded during Monday night's city council meeting, and featuring our lead field reporter, Mr. Zach Burcham, also filling in as a producer tonight. He is going to be talking to us about that. It is also on YouTube if you want to watch it, but we're going to break it down for you so you don't have to. Then we're also going to be talking about the Washington, D.C. riots, the attempted coup d'etat that happened in Washington, D.C. last night
a week
on
ago,
January 6th.
I didn't think we were going to have this conversation.
Well, you weren't active on Parler.
No, you're right. I haven't logged back in since that one time.
So make sure you stick around to the end of the show to hear our thoughts on all of that, and then maybe a little bit of bonus things during the final thoughts.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. We will make you and force you to do that. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. But hopefully you'll always learn something new. We just did an incredible 22 minutes on something. I don't know. It was great, though. It was fun. It was great fun.
We talked about it was my birthday.
We talked about your birthday.
It was my birthday. We congratulated
Dakota is 29.
We congratulated Jesse for getting his name put on the menu at an esteemed restaurant in Knightstown, Indiana.
And we noted that some of us don't have our money yet.
That's true. You're the one that doesn't have your money yet.
Some very important ones of us.
And we also talked about Bitcoin. And then the rest of it, to find out how many Bitcoins I have and how many Bitcoins Jesse has, you'll have to join Patreon and listen to that episode.
It's well worth it. Well worth it. I also did a strip tease when I took my jacket off. So you got that to look forward to as well. If you join the Patreon, you get put in the Facebook page. It's great. Big donors in the Patreon group, though.
That's right. Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. That's where you can go to support the show each and every month. That is monthly donations. We encourage $5 a minimum per month, but we have a couple of people who are just slightly over $1 a month. We appreciate them too. We also go all the way up to $80 a month. And if you join at over $50 a month, then you get a shout out at the front of each and every episode of Boss Hog of Liberty. Those folks are Mr. Chris Lamb, our good friend Chris Lamb, Christy Avery from all the way in Fort Wayne, Anthony Meyer, who is helping save America currently as we speak, and then our favorite car dealer manager, Mr. Jonathan Phillips. go see John at Andy Moore.
Well,
GMC and
it's not
Fishers.
John Phillips GMC yet, but damn it, we're hoping one of these days.
That's right. And make sure you tell him that Dakota Davis sent you.
Or Jeremiah.
Specifically.
Just the Boss Hog. Blink. If you blink twice, he'll know it's from me.
We also want to talk about, I said that Anthony Meyer is helping save America as we speak. Anthony Meyer is a truck driver who is hauling goods all the way around the country, and he has been under a great deal of stress because of the coronavirus pandemic, and he is trying to take his operations solely independent, and he has a GoFundMe for that, and he has helped out this show tremendously. If you've been listening for any amount of time, then you've heard that he is in the $50 a month club, so he has helped us out a lot, and it would be great if we could have some listeners of the show help him out as well. We also have T-Chip stores, tchip.com/BHOL 1, 2, 3, or 4, or BHOL mug. That is where you can get all of your Boss Hog of Liberty merchandise. We have 3 different tiers of shirts or sweatshirts. Jeremiah has one on tonight.
I've got the black premium one.
You
Long
haven't been
sleeve
washing
tee.
it inside out. I see some cracking going on.
I like the
but it
patina.
kind of
it looks good.
It kind of adds to it.
It adds to the character.
It does.
Is that how you prevent cracking?
Yeah. You wash it.
I'm
and dry
fucking
it
terrible at laundry.
My wife is terrible at laundry.
Screen printed shirts. Wash them and dry them inside out. That's a little tip, a life tip for everybody to know.
I like the patina. I honestly do.
BHOL 4, that is where you can get masks and neck gaiters. And then we also have BHOL mug. The mugs we have are color changing. So whenever you pour it looks like a regular black mug. And then when you pour your coffee into it, the Boss Hog of Liberty logo is revealed. And they're super cheap. They're like $8 or something like that.
Color changing. Either way is amazing.
That's right.
If you're watching the live feed, some might say that I spilled the beer, and some might say that I just saved the beer.
I think you saved it.
It's a matter of how full.
I think it was a beautiful mix of both.
It's like you didn't lose all of it.
I have 95% of it.
I'm gonna have to get some of that Trump money from you.
There was just a little bit of a dribble.
That looks like 50 cents worth of beer you lost.
Well,
if you're listening to this right
a free
now
beer.
and you're not watching the live stream, then you can go back to the live stream, and in the comments, Zach Burcham, producer Zach, has put all of the links to all of the different merchandise in the comments section to make it super convenient for you.
All right, so we're going to get to the big national story in a few minutes, but we do want to cover the local Newcastle news. Zach, one of these days you're going to break down and become a government official locally. You've been attending city council meetings for years now.
Yeah.
And you had a doozy.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Turn yourself up just a little bit for me.
I was pretty glad that I was not in chambers for that one. I was like, oh, I'm okay being in my kitchen watching this meltdown. It was contentious.
So they had a segment of it was the first of the year, the first city council meeting of the year. And apparently Councilman Dickin, very good friend of the show, Councilman Dickin challenged everybody to bring back some New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
And as they were doing the New Year's resolutions, there was one that was Councilman Peckinpah, who's also been on the show, shared he was frustrated with a lack of communication coming out of the executive office, out of the mayor's office. Yeah. And that led into a discussion about city trash, which God knows that cities and city trash. This is a constant thing that they talk about.
We can't
in the county. We talk about energy, wind farms, ordinances, that kind of junk, and in the city, it's always trash.
It's trash toters, all kinds of large trash items, whatever. Yeah, so much trash talk in this. Yeah, so they discussed a couple weeks ago. It wasn't even really an ordinance; it was just kind of a presentation about a potential plan to. People want curbside recycling. Currently, we have some recycling dumpsters in some strategic locations around around Newcastle. Some of them are locked up during the night.
So you're not supposed to burn your plastics and newspapers together?
No, not really. But there's
just your plastics.
And there's a set that are open. They're available all the time, but they're behind the police department, and they end up being just like a dump. So they said people want curbside. But the problem with curbside, our city picks up our trash, and anybody that wants to do curbside recycling is going to want to take that over, and the city doesn't want to give it up. And so, but they said, hey, this is our idea. we think we can take some of this toter money that we've got going, which I believe is my understanding was, and then once we have the toter situation under control, because if anybody drives to Newcastle, about 30% of the toters are like missing a lid or broken lid or something.
What are toters?
Toter trash cans.
It's a dumpster. You'd call it a dumpster in Kennard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or wherever you're from. Shirley. Where are you from?
Yeah,
Shirley?
Knightstown.
Well, before.
Oh,
Yeah,
surely.
toters are just like the specific cans that our one-arm trucks use to pick up. So,
brand new one-arm trucks.
brand new one-arm trucks. Yeah, old ones went out in a blaze of glory. And
Was Rex known about that?
yeah, he found out eventually. But it was just like
if you want the full airing of grievances, go check out the city council meeting around the 44-minute mark.
Yeah, 44, 45 is when it starts.
44, 45.
I just happened to you guys asked about that, and I'd been discussing it with somebody else.
It was nice enough to provide
but it
a
was just like,
timestamp.
hey, we'll have some people that'll follow the trash truck around. They'll pick up like bins that have some recycling in them, and we'll try and get this taken care of. And it would save the city, potentially could save the city money, because if the less they take to the dump, the less they pay, because they're just paying for volume. And then it was just kind of tabled. Like, we'll figure this out in a couple of months or whatever. Come back to this meeting on Monday, and the mayor has decided that he's going to do a 90-day trial with our trash. Instead of going to the local landfill, going to Muncie, to their landfill, in exchange for them potentially doing curbside recycling. And he didn't mention it. The city council seemed to be largely unaware. There's one city councilman that seemed to be much more aware than others, but that wasn't super established during the meeting. So, and they were not happy about it.
Yeah.
So, and then it kind of got, because then they were explaining why, and then our street department chief said that the garbage trucks have popped $11,000 worth of tires, had $1,000 worth of tow
These are the
bills.
new ones?
Yes. Wow. Well, no, not just the new ones, I guess. 2020.
$11,000
$11,000 in pop tires, $3,700 in damage, including $3,000 damage to one of the new trucks, and $1,000 tow bill for them being stuck apparently at the dump. Although I asked somebody about that, and they said that it was a drainage ditch that the garbage truck drove into, but I'm not sure.
The problem is that they're blaming it on, I don't know. Have you ever been out to Buster's, the local landfill?
Yeah.
Not in quite some time.
Many times. My father used to take me out there when he was apparently too cheap to pay for a dumpster when he would do construction. He's like, well, save some money.
We'll drive it out there ourselves.
We'll drive it and unload it myself with my kids. And it smells like crap.
I do that, and my kid can't even help me.
Well,
that's just a father-son bonding thing. That's when I used to go with my dad. I was thinking, my God, why do they let trucks drive out on this mountain?
It is, it's a very.
They don't let you do that anymore. They have dumpsters set up now.
Yes, yeah. But
because
back in the day,
the reason why
was you'd get a hypodermic needle right through your tire.
When did they change it? It had to have been recently. I was just out there like maybe a year or two ago.
I don't know. I guess in the last year that I've been doing.
In 2018, when I did my cleanup after the wedding, and I had a tremendous amount of trash to get rid of, they had dumpsters. So the summer of 2018,
okay, so
we threw our stuff out ourselves. We did not go onto the mountain.
Okay, I mean that.
I should say I had an entertainment.
I love having
center.
Jesse here because we get lost in the weeds. So
I had an entertainment center like 4 years ago that I needed to get rid of. It's large, and I took it out there and I showed them what it was, and it was so big it wouldn't fit in the back of my truck. I had to borrow a trailer, and they were like, we'll take it up here and then help you unload it. So I got to go partially up the mountain.
Yeah.
So best I can tell, somewhere around the time that Ted Cruz said basketball ring and ruined America by electing Donald Trump, they also took away the freedom of you being able to drive in the dump.
Yeah.
So 2016, everything fell apart.
It probably was like a longer time ago than I think, because like I don't think I was working when this happened. Like it was like 2016. So.
I think I just got armpit hair, actually, as he thinks about it. It's just like yesterday.
One thing that was interesting to know was people were saying, people might say, why can't Buster's take out recycling? Because they have on their sign that they offer recycling.
I don't think they do.
They do. Oh. And
I love it. I don't think they do.
This is
I don't think they do.
I'd hate that.
this
Facts
is
versus volume.
This is about the way the conversation went in the city council meeting too, because depending on who you talk to, who had talked to somebody at Buster's, whether or not they offered recycling or didn't offer recycling.
Maybe the employees probably just saw the sign.
Listen, if
The problem is though that
if
the
you want to
recycling.
recycle it, we're going to charge you an extra $1 and we're going to put it in the same pile over there.
Right.
The problem with their recycling is that they only recycle cardboard, and that is if it is pre-sorted. And
Not pizza boxes.
And they just have a company from Indianapolis come and pick up the dumpster whenever it's full.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that 85% of the cardboard is Amazon boxes, and 40%, the remaining 40% of that is probably pizza boxes, and
That they
everything
can't
else
take.
is just random. That
They can't even take cardboard boxes.
Yeah, because it's soiled or whatever. But yeah, I mean, recycling just doesn't exist. Like people don't even understand that. So I mean, it does exist.
It doesn't
but-
even exist anymore because China has totally shut down all recyclable material as being delivered to
Right,
the
we
country.
can't even ship our plastics over there anymore. So,
Right.
like, it's people don't understand the recycling.
And some of it's
So
kind of
much
gone.
winning.
Some of it's kind of gone to Malaysia, but Malaysia's rethinking that whole business. The
Yeah,
problem
it's not
is
good.
that it pollutes everything in the countries that take it,
Right.
And they make barely any money.
Well, that's
the
what-
government loses money because then they have to go back through and clean up the pollution.
Right. Well, that's why like these e-waste days, right? Like that's what they're
Talks
doing.
away day.
They're just taking it, they're putting it in trucks, and they ship it to the docks, and then they put them in cargo containers, and they ship it across seas for kids to sort through.
It goes away.
And you're like, yeah, just throw that over here. It's not going to get solved until we pollute our own shit. So
But now we're polluting Delaware County instead of Henry County.
Right.
Maybe it's a win.
well, it's kind of the same model, and
Yeah.
the Delaware County deserves it.
Screw you, Muncie.
I mean, it's just going.
Why are we
That's
in the trash business at all? I live 5 doors down from the city, and I pay Buster's, and they left me a dumpster, and I pay them directly.
Well, I think I've
and
calculated
it goes.
this, and it's you guys get a significantly better deal on trash than we do. Like the city does.
Yeah, but they have to argue about it constantly.
No, I know. But I just paid my dumpster bill today or yesterday with Big B.
Yeah.
And like $54 for 3 months.
56
It's
every
like
three.
$200 and some dollars. Yeah, $200 and some dollars. You can pay it ahead of time, and you don't have to do it. They have an online website, which county governments usually don't, or not county governments, city governments.
City of Newcastle does. You can pay your water
but
bill online. On
you
the
guys have
line.
like 20,000 population, so. But yeah, I don't. So
The
I have
city
to mail
government,
checks
on
and
behalf of the citizens of the city, is collectively bargaining on behalf of the citizens.
Yeah. And I think there was an issue. I remember this being a thing, like recycling and stuff with the whole Three River water people, because
Three Rivers, yeah.
that was what Knightstown's recycling was through for a while. And then they're like, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. And the same thing, people are not, they're throwing whatever they want in there.
Yeah.
We'll tie a little bit of a bow on this conversation, going back to the city county meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Or
sorry.
the city council meeting, and the city attorney, Joel Harvey, did say his legal opinion as the city attorney was that the mayor can make the deal, the 90-day deal.
Yeah.
So there was nothing that was outside the bounds of his authority.
He said
to do that.
He said this falls under the classification of a service that the city provides. Therefore, it falls under the authority of the Board of Works, which basically the mayor has full legal authority over.
Right.
So he didn't have to notify the council. Thing is that
The council
to be
is
transparent,
essentially the voice of the people. They
Right.
represent individual wards, and the council's concern is what do I do here? Like what's happening? They don't feel like they're being utilized.
and that's something that we've talked about this a lot with Mayor York in the 3.5 years that we've done this show, is a complete and total lack of transparency from the executive branch of Newcastle government.
That's the way executive branches work. That's just the way they're designed.
Yeah, I think the city council's issue was that multiple times they'll get calls from citizens asking them about stuff and they don't know about it. Like it's gone through the grapevine of the general public.
Our friend Aaron Dickens said
Yeah,
that people think he's joking when he says that he's the last one to know things, but he's being completely serious. Rex Peckinpah said that he had no idea that the freaking city works building had burnt to the ground, and the mayor had been there for like 3 hours.
That's why what I like to do is when I'm driving around town and I see a water main break in somebody's ward, I just tag him on Facebook and saying, paging Jeff Hancock, you're needed on Midway Drive. There is a waterman break. Clean up on Midway.
To be fair, that would be a more efficient system. It would be like eventually, like people adopted it. Like it would be much faster. But whatever.
Rex continuously said that Mayor York was a terrible leader.
He did.
His exact words. That's a quote.
If I don't even care if you live in Newcastle, because I don't. And watching that,
you don't have to be
a great piece of comedy.
Exhilarating.
It was a great piece of comedy. It was great to watch people like Rex just go, well, Mayor York or whatever, going, I am the leader. I am the leader. And Rex go, you're not a leader. You're terrible. like Seinfeld. Like it was like, you're terrible. It was so good. But I think
I loved it.
What's really funny though is like, I mean, communication, like we were talking, I guess, before even we went live for the Patreon users, which you all should join, was that like there's different types of people, right? Obviously. And I'm one of the people that I like to over communicate and stuff. And some people just are not that. Like they think that
if you have a question, call me.
And you're like, this isn't, and there's nothing I will say. Like
Jesse and I have a great relationship. We haven't talked in 3 years.
Yeah.
He has a problem. He'll let me know.
I'll let him know. But what it's funny, like, is it's not just government problems. Like imagine, like I've been working under people, and you know, like the worst thing that you can do is let your boss find out that something you did from their boss. Like it's the worst thing in the world, or from another department, right? And like,
for a customer to pick up the phone and tell your boss, hey, Jesse has a problem.
Yeah. Or the customer say, did you guys know this is broken? And you're like, nope. So, I mean, it's a big thing in the IT industry is that we have a lot of like metrics and stuff, right? Like monitoring and metrics and like observational stuff going on. And the whole point is that we don't want to be caught with our pants down because it sucks. And when you have like really large contracts with people, you want to be like, yeah, we know we're already on it. And you want to, preferably, you communicate it to them, you know?
Yeah. Hey, this is broken. We're fixing it.
Yeah. So it's not unique to county government.
DraftKings broke. Fantasy, my gambling here. DraftKings broke on Sunday, week 17 of the NFL.
Yep.
They said, we're terribly sorry. Here's $10 free. Nice. That's how you fix it.
Yeah.
Here's a free $10 bet.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think our company does that, but I wish like other companies, I wish Coinbase would do that. Coinbase was down yesterday.
Yeah, you get one free Bitcoin. It'd be a lottery. A lottery for one customer will be awarded a free Bitcoin.
The valuation of it from 2012.
Yeah.
Here's $3.
Oh man. All right, let's is that everything we needed to cover on that front, producer Zachary?
Yeah, I think so.
I just recommend watching it.
Anybody watch CNN yesterday?
No.
I watched many channels yesterday. I watched Twitter feeds yesterday, CNN, Fox.
I watched InfoWars.
I watched my mom's Snapchat story.
Yes.
I love my mother so much. So she has a knack for going to a concert and recording the entire concert and putting it on her Snap story.
Joyce,
she's that
you got to
person.
stop doing that.
She's that person.
Listen, Audrey and my parents and I went to Chicago. We saw Joe Bonamassa in concert. If you've never heard of Joe Bonamassa, you need to look him up because I think he's the greatest guitar player of the 21st century. And we were sitting in the auditorium that he was playing in, the theater, and it was just filled with boomers taking videos on their cell phones. They're not even watching the concert. And the thing about, like, I don't know if you've ever watched old videos of...
If you put it on Snapchat, it's gone the next day. Unless you save the story.
These are baby boomers. They're full on live streaming to Facebook.
And let's be honest, they're the least capable of getting the video off their phone ever.
It's actually...
My phone broke, the video's gone forever.
Yeah, it's preferably that it streams and gets saved because they have no idea how to get it off the phone, how long it lasts.
So
I don't. Have you ever seen old videos of Jimi Hendrix playing at concerts?
Sure.
But
only a few.
There's some really good ones if anyone's interested that are in like 1080p HD because they were recorded on 35 millimeter, and those are really cool. I think his whole Maui, Hawaii concert series that he did like 53 days before he died is on YouTube in full HD. Anyway, if you watch his concerts, then it's just people sitting in the audience. You might have like 3 people dancing, but most of the time people are just sitting in the glory, like basking in this dude shredding the guitar like no one's ever seen before. And that's kind of like what it is watching Joe Bonamassa. You basically just sit in your seat the whole time, and you're just in awe that someone is able to play an instrument this well.
Well, you've got to capture it for all of your friends.
So then it
From
really
Road
ruins the
GG.
experience whenever the next 18 people in front of you have got their phones like this, and they're just staring up at the phone screen the whole time.
A real
They're
good
watching
boomer.
the concert through the screen. They're not even enjoying it on the stage.
A real good boomer would bring their iPad. So that way they could still see it.
That is a great thing. Just like at the IMS, you'll see that. You'll see some guy, he's running around taking a pic, and he's holding up like the biggest iPad there is. I'm like,
Gen 1.
I'm like, how is that efficient? Like,
So that happened. And Mason, by the way, Mason is the one person, Mason Rottinghouse, our very good friend. He's the one person that actually does it successfully, because he'll sit at a concert in the pit on the front row and know what song to record when it's something special that an artist hasn't cut and they're just recording one thing. He'll get that song, put it on YouTube, and get 1 million likes. He's done that with Luke Combs a couple of times.
Yeah.
And it's been very successful.
He's got featured in like some
on
big-
Whiskey Riff or whatever.
Yeah.
He's done a really good job. But if you're in the 47th row, you don't need to do that. It's not helping
No one
anybody.
cares.
So anyway, I told that story because this morning I'm looking through Snapchat and my wonderful mother started recording the CNN thing. And I kept watching, and I'm like, she's recording her television. And I've gone through like 5 of these videos, and I'm like, oh my God. And then it would come back to her, and she'd be like, I'm hooked on it now. I have to finish. And I'm like, oh dear God. Because I know what happened yesterday. And I gave up after had to be at least a half an hour of her recording this stuff.
What's really funny.
So you could just catch the rebroadcast on my mom's Snap story.
But what really is funny is the inception of what's actually going on. So typically a lot of the CNN stuff is going to be live footage from other people. So they're recording the action with their phone. CNN's playing their videos, and then your mom is recording it. So it's like a 4-layer abstraction of what's going on.
And it's all just getting saved on Snapchat servers.
And you're watching it on your phone.
and someone's behind me watching, and I don't know what's going on.
It's like those.
And the
It's
FBI
like those.
officer who's been assigned to watch me is going, what the hell, Jeremy?
It's like those people that take pictures.
Yeah, they just
of-
zoom in and out.
Yeah.
The same photo of it. I was thinking the same thing.
Or like the crap. What's the digital art pieces where you continuously zoom in and it's the same image over and over again?
I forget what those are called, but those are awesome.
So yesterday, little timeline of events. We'll lay the groundwork and we'll see where this conversation takes us. President Trump had a rally in D.C. for his supporters, and he said, we're going to march. We're going to go. We're going to tell them. We're going to show them what's up. We're going to go together.
And I'm going to walk with you.
I'm going to walk with you.
I'm pretty sure those
Yeah.
were his term or his phrase.
So then that rally ends. The president goes back to the White House. Session starts. The joint session starts at 1:00 yesterday in the House chambers. Vice President Pence, Speaker Pelosi, they convene. They hold this deal. I immediately get flashbacks to horrible libertarian conventions. And it's House member asking questions of Mike Pence using parliamentary procedure.
What time are we going to say this is done?
And then Pence is, and they're like, first of all, Nancy Pelosi yells at them for having too many people in the room. And they're like, how can we object if we're not allowed to be in the room? And it didn't click until about 20 minutes later that they had already scripted this whole damn thing. They already had what they were going to say literally scripted. The objections were already written down and turned in and at the front of the room, and then who was going to speak and what was going to happen. And they had a whole plan for the show. The first or second congressman that tried to get up there to ask the question weren't asking it. They weren't in on the game.
Right. So that makes sense why they're confused.
And then this Gohmert guy, congressman from Arizona, turns his thing in, and he's like, yes. And Pence is like, have you submitted it? He's like, yes, of course. Has it been countersigned by a senator? Yes, of course it has. It's been signed by so-and-so. And then they hand it to Pence. He gives it to the clerk. They read it. And this is all on my mom's Snapchat. You can see every bit of this. This is all there. I got to see it a second time.
Great.
So this all happens. They retire to their separate chambers. And I'm like, this was all theater. Because I was immediately going, I can't wait to see Mike Pence actually have to fight this out and lead all these wayward, crazy congressmen. And I realized it was only one or two of them because there's a Facebook status that I put out there saying, I can't wait to see Pence call somebody dilatory. They're dragging this out. They're being,
Right.
And Pence is having to wrangle the wild. And then it took this turn where they all went back to their chambers. The Senate had to go debate for 2 hours. The House had to go debate for 2 hours. As this is happening, the protesters have now arrived from the rally and they're at the steps of the Capitol building.
In the protest, Donald Trump, in the rally, Donald Trump got up and he said, we won this bigly. It was huge by huge numbers. We won. And you guys know it. We're not going to let them do this. We're not going to let them take this away from us. And he said
the same message he's been preaching since the election, that they've stolen the election
in 2016. He's been saying this since the election in 2016.
And he said, we won. This is a sham. And he said, we're going to march on Washington.
Yep.
And I'm going to lead you in the march on Washington. Everyone starts going crazy. They're cheering. They're so happy. Then Trump got back in his limo and he went back home.
Do you think he wanted to go with them and the Secret Service said you can't? Or do you think he was just going to go watch it?
That's exactly where I was going. I honestly think that Trump wanted that. I think that Trump wanted that picture to be plastered all over Twitter to him. Have you guys seen the pictures of whenever Alex Jones has led rallies?
Oh, yeah.
Where he's got his chest puffed out on that super male vitality.
Yeah, super male vitality.
And he's walking like this with a swagger. And then there's a bunch of people carrying flags behind him. I think that Trump wanted to be Alex Jones.
He wanted to go out on the
That's how jealous he is.
riding the white horse.
He wanted to be
Somebody bring me my Arabian.
He wanted to be marching in the front. But see, Trump has already put the Secret Service through so much hell these past 4 years, just with these off the cuff rallies, and they've had to figure out security.
Riding around in limos.
They finally were like, sir, it's not going to happen. Too dangerous. You can't lead these hundreds of thousands, because there were so many people.
They're armed.
Yeah.
They're wearing Viking helmets.
So Trump's fine, whatever, and he just goes back home. But
he's probably very
But he
upset.
doesn't tell the people, hey,
yeah.
mission's off. It's just no, I love you.
None of the Trump supporters got that memo.
Right?
Secret Service never told them.
Yeah, well, they didn't ask.
That's
right. They should have called.
They
If you have a question, just call.
Hey, boss, we still doing this? No, I got to go home. I got a steak well done with ketchup. I need to eat.
Got a curfew.
Yeah.
So they get to the White House. They get to the Capitol building. I'm a guy that's gone to D.C. 4 times to go visit Congress. I've never been allowed in the Capitol building. I've been in the Cannon office building. I've been in the Rayburn building. I've never been in the Capitol building.
Have you tried wearing horns?
It's secured, right? You have to have an appointment.
The strangest thing that happens is, if you guys don't know, then the mayor of Washington, D.C. specifically said the D.C. National Guard will not be mobilized without my approval.
Right.
She said the D.C. police force is well equipped enough to handle anything that might happen with the Trump rally.
So they got to the Capitol.
I don't know if she was underestimating the reach that Donald Trump's Twitter has, thinking it's only going to be a few hundred people.
They got to the
1,000
Capitol,
tops.
and then all of a sudden it turns from they're watching what's happening inside to how the hell did they get there? And they're up at the top of the stairs. And then...
Well, they got let in. There's some videos where some of the police
and then the
have
next
let
thing
them
you
in.
know,
Yeah.
you see people busting out windows, and then you see the hell with it.
They were
They're
Well,
coming
but-
through.
and there's people fighting back. To be fair, there are people who are like, don't do this. And people fighting it. It's just like the whole BLM.
There was a
stuff.
mob, right? It
Yeah,
literally the president.
Yeah, they didn't. There's no
incited
leader.
a mob.
There's no leadership, and they're all like, "Listen to me," and they're like, "No, listen to me." Like it was it's a bunch
in
of
the Trump
testosterone.
rally, it was a really weird thing in the Trump rally. As he was leaving, they were getting so hyped up. It was like a Pentecostal church service. They were all like, "We love Trump. We love Trump." And they were going crazy. and then all that energy.
So they put on their war paint.
Oh, dude! Like so one of the videos, I think it was from. I think the guy has a handle. He's like what is he? The black conservative preacher. He has some content, and so he was there, and one of the guys, like everybody's just got like adrenaline running through their eyeballs, and you can see it. Like I've been there, and you're like, you have to like people are grabbing people like, you can't fucking do it, man. Yeah, and then like
just
there's other guys who are just
it's
like,
okay.
yeah, sorry, and there's
I
like,
checked.
and there's like, sorry, and then there's like,
it's 8:02. You're good.
I'm paraphrasing what really happened, but so and then there are like other like there's I see this guy get grabbed, and he's just like he's so amped. And like he's just like shaking. He's like, and like, and you're like, dude, calm. And that's what the guy's saying, like way louder, like calm down. And it's just like you can't, right? Who knows what they've been drinking or whatever, like before then, probably.
So,
and so many of them are armed.
About 2:00, it turns into a military, into a coup, and you start having these visuals of people trying to climb walls. Apparently, walls don't work.
Shocking,
because you see the people climbing over the walls, and then the visuals start coming out of, oh my God, they're in statutory hall with and there's some guy with
they're on scaffolding,
and then they're on the scaffolding that's being built for the Biden election that he technically hadn't won yet because they haven't voted on it, or the inauguration of whomever, I suppose, and then the visuals start to get truly incredible, where the pictures of
dystopian. Some
dude is standing at the speaker's podium that Mike Pence was just at an hour ago. And he's standing there, and then like 10 minutes later, another picture comes out, and now Jesse is there with his Viking helmet.
Yeah. Well,
and then five more minutes. He
has raccoons with some horns on it. I don't know what the fuck he's
that was Buffalo Bill, and you will show some damn respect.
Oh, whatever.
And then I checked the internet, and apparently he's an actor. He's a crisis actor. He shows up at all these things.
Actor. Well, yes,
you're right. He's
Antifa.
Yes.
He's
QAnon.
Although QAnon brought him.
Yes. He got on the bus.
He is QAnon.
Yeah. Well, he's QAnon Q shaman or QAnon shaman. Like he's like they're like he's like there's a post where he's like I can be your shaman for $33.33.
So, and then my favorite picture of the entire day came out, where there's the picture of the speaker's lectern.
Yeah, and the guy's just he has the face. I'm like wanting to Photoshop my face on it with like just a fucking case of beer. And just like, because that's the face I make.
He's waving. It's total chaos, but he's staying in the ropes.
Do you know who he looks like? Is
Chip Gaines, as everybody says.
He looks like Murray from Flight of the Conchords.
Never. Don't know who those are.
That is a deep cut, my friend.
I know who the Flight of the Conchords are. I don't know what
on your Google.
Like.
He's like the happiest looking guy committing a felony.
Oh, I know.
In a picture ever.
What's
you're like Murray you're going to get arrested eventually because this picture exists, but like you're like just to have the joy that guy has in that moment. He's so happy with himself.
I think his name was Adam Johnson. He's from Florida.
Yeah. The internet. the internet detectives are very quick.
His wife is a doctor.
She's a physician. He had to get rid of his Facebook account immediately.
Yeah, I tried to find it, couldn't find it.
They had to take the numbers off their house, I think.
That morning because they can't figure out, hey, 802 is here and 806 is here. I wonder where 804 might be.
His wife's a doctor.
He
just like Ben Shapiro.
He posted on Facebook that morning, hey, I get to drink in 4 states today. So he was looking for some debauchery.
Right. Yeah, that dude looked drunk as hell. Like his face was, that's what I'm saying. Like his face was like beet red, and he looked like me. It was like just having a great time. Just like, but the best part, he's still within the red ropes.
Yeah, I know.
The whole time. It doesn't make any sense.
He just went in, saw what he was looking for, and walked out.
Somebody's like, I'm taking the podium.
My boy Leon Waninger said, look, it was Richard Branson. So maybe it was. I don't know. There's a lot of theories as to who it actually was.
But let's be honest. I was watching it, and it sent my anxiety through the roof.
Did it?
Oh, God.
Dude, yes. I was laughing.
I wasn't okay for a while today.
I had friends that way, but
it's not all funny. There were 4 people died.
Yes.
3 from medical
for some
or
reason,
the government
I don't
stopped
know.
their hearts.
I'm I don't know what I don't know who I follow on Twitter, but for some reason people just kept posting the video of that poor woman getting shot.
And then there was a shooting.
And I just every time that I opened Twitter, I kept seeing it. But for some reason, like even whenever I was working out this morning, which is usually my time where I just put my headphones in and I just do my thing. And it's like it's like an hour and 15 minutes of decompression.
Right.
But it was like between each set, I just kept pulling up my phone because I was a complete addict this morning.
Right.
And I just had me all kind of frazzled for until like 1 p.m. this afternoon. Because it's just the sheer amount
You were
of chaos.
frazzled until you finally made the show notes and said it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just the sheer amount. It was just because I listened to the Alex Jones show today, and he said that there's still hope.
Well, maybe you should start with stop listening to Alex Jones.
I actually listen to Alex Jones. This is for real. I do listen to him.
I used to listen to him.
You used to have the InfoWars sticker on your car 15 years ago, Jesse.
No, but
10 years ago.
It's at this point.
It was on your red Chevy.
For things like this, it's for the.
Don't you lie to me. We know it.
It's for the value of going, how can I feel what the mindset was of the people that stormed the Capitol?
I just feel like it was like a lot of drunken debauchery. Like, and then there's and rage, but like an adrenaline. But I think it was
rage, adrenaline, and the desire to do nothing but create a chaotic moment.
Yeah,
there was no plan. They had no plan. They weren't going in there to say, we're going to accomplish getting Trump back in office and blocking Joe Biden.
They were going with Trump so that he could have the power he needed. And then he stood them up at the altar.
Yeah.
I wonder if there were people that stormed the Capitol thinking Trump's already in. Trump's already in there.
He's in there. Well, because they're idiots. But
he's kicking Mike Pence's ass right now.
It's WWE because he's been in there too. He's got him in like a turnbuckle. He's just beating him down.
I wonder if there were people that were in the Capitol thinking that was going on.
Probably 33% of them
in the chamber, in the Senate chamber.
Yeah, there's a couple. Like one of the more other kind of. I was working and just tried to keep working and not pay too much attention to it.
Did that work?
Yeah. I mean,
I was not able to do that.
Trying to work for the federal government while the Capitol is burning.
Yeah, I'm waiting for an email saying, don't worry, guys, you're going to be at work tomorrow. It doesn't matter what happens at the Capitol today. But then you saw the other picture that was like this a bit disturbing was the picture where they'd shove something. I think it's the House chamber against the door. And there's 3 plainclothes Capitol police officers staying there with guns drawn, aimed at the door. And there's faces sticking through the door and all the glass is broken out. And you're like, these officers are very concerned about the well-being of, and there's a picture of a guy, and you don't know what side who's on, but he actually looks like he's serious. He's completely covered in black gear, and he's got a gun on his hip, and he's got big zip ties.
Yeah, he's the one that was trying to take the custody of people.
Yeah, and you're like, that guy's got a plan for something.
He's got a plan.
A lot of these people didn't. There was
in this man's defense, in my everyday carry backpack, I also have zip tie handcuffs.
No, these things were like they were straight up like big.
He had the big like police issue. Like you could figure eight like a strong man's wrist for these things. They were like,
he's an idiot. They make zip tie handcuffs.
Well, he doesn't want to draw suspicion by ordering those directly to his house.
There were another picture that was very notable was somebody that was rappelling one-handed off the mezzanine level into the House chamber.
I didn't see that.
One-handed hanging down, dropping down. It looked like something out of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah. And that's why I wasn't anxious. Like I would have been more anxious if like they all showed up like to the nines in gear and looked like they had a plan. Like then I'd be like, well, this is a real coup for real.
What I was
like,
worried
this
about,
is like planned out.
Yeah, but the government isn't that building anyway, right?
No, it's not. But that's where the people are, right? That's why they're there. They're there to again.
They were there
take
because
hostages
the president incited a mob and caused a riot.
Right. What I was worried about the whole time, because I get off work at 3, so like
you were ready.
I'm off work and like this is all going down, and I can sit there and watch it. And Jackson takes a nap at like 2:30, so it's like nap time. House is quiet. I just sat there and was absorbing it all, and all I was thinking about was, first of all, I saw the woman get shot. That was a horrible situation. And then I've thought, dear God, someone's got a bomb planted somewhere. One of these lunatics has gone in there, planted a bomb, and we're going to see
somebody was arrested with like 9 Molotov cocktails.
Yeah. They're in their truck.
We're going to see hundreds of people die, and a very important historical place in our nation's capital is going to be destroyed in a way that it hasn't been since 1812. That's what was going through my mind the whole time. And then, like, this morning was, whenever I was anxious about it, was just like the leftover feeling of that and being like, what damage has this done to our social institutions and the tradition of the transfer of power in our country?
By 8 o'clock or so last evening, they resecured the building. Congress came back in, and they took the business of the day back up again.
Yep.
And the challenges continued, but apparently,
probably with
the coup cost them some votes. So I know our senator Mike Braun,
not a single senator went back on Georgia or Pennsylvania.
So Arizona and Pennsylvania were the 2 states that actually did get a challenge and got a signature on them. Michigan did not, and some others.
Michigan and Georgia.
Pennsylvania and Arizona did, which would have been 31 electoral votes. Not enough, even if both of those had magically been removed from the Biden column and dropped into the Trump bucket, that would have still been 6 votes short, and he would have still had 276 votes and still been elected president. Right. Joe Biden would have.
Yeah, mathematically, it doesn't pencil out.
It wouldn't have worked. They would have still needed to find a magical way to move a third.
They'd have to look at more of the things to find
more ballots in Pelosi's office that left over in her desk as they were shuffling through there.
There's a picture of a man who's sitting with his feet up on her desk.
Yeah, he's arrested, I believe, now. He took a piece of her mail.
One of the 52 people.
I don't even think it was real mail. It had her name like in cursive on the right hand.
It was like a piece of stationery.
Yeah,
that's called franking. If you're a congresswoman, you can sign your name in the top right, and it gets there.
Oh, well, that's what she did.
Those are called franking privileges. And as a congressman, you don't need stamps anymore. You just sign your name.
How do we
there.
sign up for that so I can do that with my business?
Yeah,
ship them.
Yeah,
I use like franking from Congress. Here we go.
Yeah,
it's free.
It's free postage.
Get elected to Congress.
Yeah, it's legitimately what they do. They just sign their name, and it's legal postage, and it goes.
There were 52 people arrested due to the activities yesterday. Mr. Joe Tompkins is also in our chat correcting us. He said that 5 people died. There was a Capitol police officer that passed away from his injuries today.
That's unfortunate.
Just a couple of hours ago. There were 14 officers that were arrested in total.
Injured.
Yeah, injured. Sorry. Did I say arrested?
Yes.
That might still happen. The verdict is still
and
depending upon what webpage you read.
So there were a couple of the 52 people, or there was one person in particular of the 52 people arrested. He is the president of the Traditionalist Workers' Party, which is a National Socialist organization, and he lives in Morgan County, Indiana. Nice. So there's a tieback to Indiana.
Well, there's a
locals
tieback
on the board.
There's a tieback to
Carmel High School.
One of my friends sent me a photo about some guy that was there with like the horned guy and the guy with the hand tattoo. And that guy had his picture taken with the dude that they've pinned as like the leader for the whole Charlottesville situation or whatever it was. Pretty much the KKK guy or whatever, not the KKK, but some sort of like white nationalist thing. The guy that like lives in a trailer somewhere down south here in Indiana. That everyone's like, well, I'm terrified. I'm like, the dude lives in a trailer. Like, don't be afraid of him. Go to his house and make a tornado. It will go away. But anyway, he had his picture taken with him. So there's definitely a bunch of people involved in this. And I follow on purpose like a lot of like black conservatives to get a different viewpoint. And like, it's like 50-50 of like, they're like, yeah, no, we're pro Trump right now. I'm like, you guys are crazy. You all are crazy.
So they lost a lot of their support in the Senate. A lot of their support. It went down to 7 on one of the 2 resolutions. There were 7 senators. On the other, there were 6 that voted in favor of the coup, essentially.
Right.
One of the senators that voted for it was the newly elected Tommy Tuberville of Alabama.
Yep.
Who
was on the phone with
who was he was the head football coach of, I think, Alabama at one point, college football.
Roll Tide.
And then that got him into the Senate, because that's the way the South works.
Right.
And there was an accidental phone call placed by Rudy Giuliani. He thought he was calling Tuberville, and instead he left it on somebody else's voicemail, who went ahead and published it.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you're old. You don't know who you're calling.
He's sick, okay?
No, it doesn't matter. It happens when you're old too.
We'll try to pull this up here. We'll see if I can. Make this happen.
So
on the fly.
I don't know. The whole thing just bothers me.
Yeah, no, I can. The way that you're talking in our episode chat, I could tell you were bothered.
Significantly bothered just by all of it.
And I have other friends that are this way too, on the other side of the table, like who are very liberal folks.
But
and I don't know where you're.
I'm trying to play this. But
well, you need
I
to
think
find
it's
it
on
where
the
your
bottom.
Yeah,
they're on the bottom.
you need to put it
There you
directly
go.
on the
There you go.
microphone.
Efforting.
No.
Nope, on the bottom.
The bottom there.
Put it straight into the microphone, Jeremiah.
I don't know which side it comes
The
out.
bottom,
On the-
like this,
on
right
the-
here, like
yeah.
this.
I want to discuss
Is that an iPhone?
Yeah.
how they're trying to rush this hearing, how we need you, our Republican friends.
You just turned it off.
Pause.
So Jeremiah may also be calling people.
We get these legislatures to get more information to you, and I know they're reconvening at 8 tonight. So, but the only strategy we can follow is to object to numerous states and raise issues so that we get ourselves into tomorrow, ideally until the end of tomorrow. I know McConnell is doing everything he can to rush it, which is kind of a kick in the head, because it's one thing to oppose us. It's another thing not to give us a fair opportunity to contest it. He wants to try to get it down to only 3 states that we contest, whether there are 10 states that we contest, not 3.
So it goes on from there, but it's this long rambling voicemail on the wrong account.
Yeah. Zach, did you get to how you felt? Like, I guess you said you were at work and watching. I don't know
this whole time, I'll be honest, this whole 4 years, I've just this system is going to work. It's not perfect. It's ugly. It's inefficient, but to the people that still think that he has a chance, that there's a chance and that there's some basis, I don't understand those people, because at this point, the conspiracy is the most elaborate and widespread conspiracy on earth, because it apparently involves the entirety of the federal court system and 5 dozen judges.
And judges he appointed.
And yes, several he appointed, including the entire Supreme Court. And you ask people for proof and they're like, there's nothing there. So these people.
No, you have to prove that it wasn't stolen.
Yeah. And I want to come back on some people. I'm like, you know what? You cheat on your high school girlfriend. Prove me wrong. And I don't have to.
Joke's on you. I didn't have a high school girlfriend.
Well, prove it. Prove you did. Because that's how outlandish it is. And so I was just like, okay, this will be all right. I didn't follow it too much. I saw you shared the link in the chat, and so I saw the video of the woman getting shot, and I'm like, and what was even disturbing about that, and back to the concert poll, is that the only people that were checking on her were Capitol Police that were right behind her when she was shot. Where were the other people holding their cell phones?
Yeah.
But listen,
There's
man,
8 cell phones. There's guys that when they took over the Capitol armed with selfie sticks with their cell phones on them.
So there were a couple problems whenever the woman got shot as I was watching it. So the problem was there was a secondary barricade that was.
It was set up in the hallway where there was some furniture pushed up at a doorway.
There's a guy around the
she
corner.
was trying to get to where, and behind that secondary barricade is where Vice President Mike Pence is.
Right.
Vice President.
Well, that's why I thought the people who shot her
sitting.
was Secret Service.
And
But
they called him a plainclothes Capitol Police officer.
sure.
And he was standing guard of the secondary barricade behind those doors. Someone, not the woman who was shot, broke one of the windows in the doors, and they were shouting, yelling. There's a SWAT team of 5 men
Right behind her.
right behind her
Yep. With M4s.
as she starts to try to crawl through the window.
Yep.
and she is shot in the front by the man standing guard of the doors, which is, I mean, in a tactical situation, that was probably the smart move.
Yep.
You know, but
I'm surprised more people haven't been shot. Honestly, if that was the only police action shooting,
yeah,
blown away.
I am too. But
good
at the same time, why couldn't the cop standing right behind her just grab her?
Right. Yeah.
And then also she gets shot. She falls to the ground because she's shot in the upper chest. And what is the first thing that the people around her do? Try to pick her up and move her.
Yeah.
And then drop her on her back. And so they pick her up, they drop her on her back.
They don't all have their go bag like you do, man.
And then the SWAT team that's behind her, they have no idea that the shot fired was from the plainclothes officer that's standing guard at the door. So there's like 5 guys standing there. One says shots fired, and they have their rifles pointed, and they're looking for the active shooter.
Yeah.
And like,
I think you see them at like you see the main guy in the SWAT gear or the riot gear, like look into the room, and he goes like, he gives like a thumbs up and he goes, oh, okay, cool. Like, and that was like how they communicated. Like, I fired the shot. But it's over a minute. Yeah, it's a very long
she's
time.
She's laying on the ground after being dropped and being shot in the upper chest, where nothing happens.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I mean, I don't know. Like in the other video, they show like a close up of her face, and she's pretty. Like her eyes are not like people who aren't there. Like she doesn't look there anymore. You know, like she's just not there. And yeah, it's fucking that sucks. Like I'm with you. I can't believe that there was only this, and there's these other. Well, let's get rid of the police officer.
I mean, you weren't exactly invited into the building.
Right.
So at any point in there, it shouldn't have been a surprise when somebody used lethal force against you.
But there are security
because
guards.
she is an absolute threat to the sitting vice president of the United States and the vice president elect of the United States at that point.
You're going to get shot. Like that. There's no joke about it. Like you're going to get shot.
I've been in the Pentagon.
Yeah.
I sure as hell am not going to start just opening doors and wandering through and breaking,
Yeah.
It's not going to end well. Yeah. I don't know what you expected.
As much as you don't like them.
As much as you're mad about, all of this that happened, what did you expect?
Right. What do you expect to happen? It's like getting pulled over and pulling a gun on a cop. You're going to get shot. Don't do it. Like, no, pick your battles.
Have any opinion you want to.
Yeah.
This is not going to end well for you.
Right. And it's,
very sad.
It is sad, but it's sad because it's like,
because she didn't have to die.
It's the misinformation stuff. And like, I've got friends and family, right, that are like on this side, and you're like, you cannot penetrate anything into their brain. You're like I had my brother call me. He's like, well, I've heard the Bitcoin is the whole point of that's a global world currency. I'm like, no, that is not what it's for. Like it's actually not owned by anyone.
Isn't even possible.
I know.
Because the whole premise of it is decentralization.
But yeah, but you can't talk logic to these people. They won't. So I'm just like, yeah, right on, man. Well, cool. And hope you're doing well. Because it's not worth the fight either.
A different point of information. And that was, I have the Mitch McConnell speech pulled up here, which I want to play a clip of because he was really good.
Turtle.
This is probably the only time on this podcast in the history of the podcast and maybe the future that you're ever going to hear me compliment Mitch McConnell. But he did a great job giving his speech after all of the chaos ensued. And that was kind of one of the things he mentioned was we needed to stop dividing ourselves into two tribal camps that look at two separate facts.
Right. Yep.
We carry two different sets of information, and both sides claims that they have the real facts.
And social media is making it worse because nobody's listening to each other and they're just blocking each other.
It makes it way worse. We all live in incredible echo chambers.
Which is why, to kind of make a callback to why Rex has the balls to fucking go off on the mayor is, and I know this for a fact because I've done it as a corporate employee. It is so much easier to yell at someone through a video than to do it at the table. Mm-hmm. Like it's just different. Like it's so much easier. Like
it was a Zoom meeting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is video chat. Like when I work in video chat in corporations, I've been way nastier to those people who I actually have nothing wrong with. But then when I meet them in person, like I just treat them differently. And there's like when you have to talk through a video, there's a dehumanization that happens. And once you remove the video and it's just a profile photo and their name, there is no tie to that.
And that was something that
I'm going to go off on you.
I thought about this earlier, is if the chambers hadn't been evacuated and those people had seen all of the representatives and all of the senators that they had spent so many hours hating, they saw them face to face.
Right.
And how afraid they were of the situation that was going on. I mean, there might have been one psychopath or sociopath,
right?
That would have.
I think that's why they honestly, the human emotion of it is why so many of the senators and representatives dropped Trump, because now they were physically threatened.
Right.
They were just put in harm's way. And
it wasn't just on Twitter anymore.
Right. It was, they were in their place where they're working. They're trying to do their work, and now there's broken glass everywhere. The furniture's missing. Stuff is torn up.
They just mopped up a woman's blood
outside of the speaker's office.
Yep. And like I said, that
is not a good way to win hearts and minds. That's a way to completely crystallize and marginalize you are now instead of having 50% of the people, you've got 15% of the people.
Right.
Yep.
That's it. And those 15 are going to be rock solid, but you're not going to get anything done.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
I say, like, it's a good thing, right? Like, you can play McConnell's stuff if you want.
You have permission.
He said he wanted to do it, then he didn't. So
I think this is a clip I watched earlier. It's a C-SPAN clip. But make sure my volume's up.
The majority leader. I ask unanimous consent the majority leader and the Democratic leader be allowed to speak, and that the time not count against 2 hours of debate in relation.
Special rules for me, but not for thee.
I want to say to the American people, there we go. The United States Senate will not be intimidated. We will not be kept out of this chamber by thugs, mobs, or threats. We will not bow to lawlessness or intimidation. We are back at our posts. We will discharge our duty under the Constitution and for our nation. And we're going to do it tonight. This afternoon, Congress began the process of honoring the will of the American people and counting the Electoral College votes. We've fulfilled this solemn duty every 4 years for more than 2 centuries. Whether our nation's been at war or at peace, under all manner of threats, even during an ongoing armed rebellion and the Civil War, the clockwork of our democracy has carried on.
So you get the gist of it.
Yeah. He's not exactly a fast, inspirational speaker.
No.
But it is an excellent message. I thought
the pace was good. I don't like him, but I thought the pace was good. I mean, his speech sounds great. Like it's good.
It's a good speech.
The closing remarks by Lindsey Graham.
I just wish he meant it.
Were also very good. He basically said,
did good. Ben Sass did good.
South Carolina, we cause a lot of the problems.
Yeah.
Gotta love South Carolina.
I thought you were going to say throw your hands up, because that's like a Nelly song or some shit.
And
Miley
then
Cyrus.
South Carolina, throw your hands up.
But basically he said these guys that are trying to protest are using the 1876 Rutherford B. Hayes and Sam Tilden election and that compromise as the basis for why we should do what they want to do. And he's like, that was the worst ever. That's what put Jim Crow in the South. If y'all want to pick,
right.
You can have any argument you want to, but you're picking the worst possible. We had a terrible outcome in that election. It was bad for the country, and you guys are trying to use that to advance your agenda today. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
So, Lindsey Graham was good as well.
I just
finally, it took to this point. It took literally a coup for Congress to finally find a little bit of its soul and to come together.
Well, like, ironically, violence works for them, right? I mean,
Think
that's what they do.
America after 9/11.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like,
how does this stack up, Dakota? That's right. You don't have a real recollection of 9/11 as as somebody
Adult.
with real,
Let's say that.
with real consciousness at the time. Yeah.
Yours isn't artificial like everybody else's.
Dakota
It's,
was 6.
No,
at
I-
the
no,
time.
I
get
feel
it.
like I feel like we experienced a little bit of that whenever the phrase 2 weeks to flatten the curve first started. There was this moment of American spirit whenever Fauci said everybody just hunker down for a couple weeks to help out our doctors and nurses and friends in healthcare so that we can beat this thing in 2020. And I feel like there was a moment after that where everybody was like, all right, we'll stop with the nonsense of buying up all the toilet paper. We'll do our thing and work together to help out. And then obviously that went away. But there was a moment, it went away probably before the 2 weeks was actually up.
Yeah.
But when it was apparent that 2 weeks was going to turn into 2 months, and now maybe 2 weeks.
Well, I was going to say we're 40 some weeks into flattening the curve.
So this was at 7:40 p.m. This was about the Capitol Police officer that had died. This came breaking news. The U.S. Capitol Police officer has been taken off life support. Died after being hit in the head with a fire extinguisher by a rioter.
Yeah. Well, remember, if he loses, they were just going to go to their jobs and not complain. That was what they said.
Yeah.
But here's the problem.
Some of them said that. They didn't all make that promise.
Yeah.
Well, clearly.
Well, it did after he lost.
Right.
But the problem is
he
that
never said he lost.
He never said he. Yeah, exactly.
He finally kind of acknowledged it today. I saw Todd
Yeah.
Young.
That's what it took.
Yeah, he said, he promises a peaceful transition.
On January 20th.
Yeah.
But in between now and the 20th, who knows what's up?
I saw a video of Todd Young out with the protesters trying to tell him that, like, I sympathize with what you guys are saying. I don't disagree with what you guys feel has happened. But when I go in there, my job is to certify the vote.
Actually, I'm very glad you said that. My opinion doesn't matter. And you know what? When it comes to the law, our opinions don't matter. The law matters. Opinions don't matter. The law matters. I value your opinion. I actually share your concerns. I share your conviction that President Trump should remain president. I share that conviction.
Yes. The law matters with us.
I share that conviction. But the law matters.
It doesn't matter what the
Good job, Todd. Trying to talk logic to idiots.
Under God. I took an oath. Do we still take that seriously in this country?
I do. I do.
Did you hear?
That woman has her shirt up.
Did you hear?
It's unreal that this.
He
is,
said the man in the crowd that said it doesn't matter to the Democrats also said, and what, you don't think Ted Cruz did?
And you look, and if you see that video, it's not like he's pleading.
Yeah,
he knows.
Like they're his people. He's speaking to his supporters
and like
his tribe.
There's like a desperation in his eyes at trying to reason with these
You hear
people.
his voice crack when he says, "Under God."
Yeah, it's in like, yeah. I mean, it's horrible it took yesterday for people to be like, whoa.
That was before the violence. That was yesterday morning.
But even he's meeting these people and he must see like there's something going on. He tries to reason. He's going out to talk to him, to talk him down in some regard, I guess. And
Mike Braun went out and talked to him too, and it was a very different conversation. It was, here's some red meat. Let's go.
The title of this episode, if you've seen it on the live stream, I don't know what Jeremiah's going to title it yesterday, but I said episode 189 of Jesse Riddle, Newcastle drama, and the worst day in American political history.
Oh, I don't know.
For you.
Yeah.
I would say, yesterday, like I was like, these people don't have a plan. They are going to get gunned down.
Yeah, I thought
soon as like I said, the police aren't going to do things. Once the guard gets called, it's over. It's done. You're done. You don't have any weapons. There was 3 bombs. We haven't really talked about that. They've been defused. 2 or 3 bombs, whatever. But
but they weren't there. There was one at the RNC headquarters and there's one at the DNC headquarters.
Oh, well, whatever. So,
why did they leave the Libertarian Party out? Honestly,
I was going to say, what libertarian put bombs there? But yeah, like like, I was like, these people, like, first off, I just know them. Like, we live around them. They are idiots. And they don't know how to do anything. They don't even know how to take care of themselves half the time. So it's like, they're going to walk in there and then like watching the videos and they're just arguing amongst themselves.
They're going to loot.
Cause here's the problem, right? And I'm kind of this way. I'm very anti-authoritarian, right? If you put a bunch of anti-authoritarian people together, nothing gets done. The anti-authoritarian needs to be the leader, and then everybody else can be the sheep. But you can't put a bunch of
hierarchy. You can't put a bunch
of wolves.
Is what you're saying. There has to be
hierarchy is natural order. It's up to us, people like myself who don't like it, to create my own following and like, or whatever, or do it myself and not have a following. It doesn't matter. You
need like an authoritarian, anti-authoritarian person. Like, right. Somebody needs to take charge.
Well, the thing is, for me, right?
They had a guy in charge, Donald Trump, and he was going to lead them into battle, right. And instead he went home.
Well, but anyway, my point being is that, like, you have these characteristics all put together, and they don't know what to do. They don't have a plan because they're fueled on like adrenaline. And they're literally, they can't decide what they want to do. And when you have that, my point being is when you have that and you go up against trained professional shooters, you're dead meat. It's not going. And the Capitol Police, whatever, some of them did a great job. There were some who were like, I remember watching the people walk through the red rope and having the same thought. Why are they obeying that rule? Of all the rules, you're walking between the red ropes.
It's like a social experiment.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because here's the thing: they're all suckers and followers. But there's two Capitol policemen, and they're just walking beside him, like giggling and laughing, and you're like, "What is going on?" And then
at some point they probably got orders of, don't let them hurt anybody.
Right.
Let it burn itself out.
There were orders of stand down.
So, and I think that's the right thing to do. And I've told my friends that who are like, we need to put the guillotines in the street. I'm like, yeah, that's how you fucking create terrorists. Yeah. So don't, whatever actions happen, they need to be non-lethal, and you need to just put them in jail. As like, once you kill 1, 2 or more, you are going to spawn the worst monster you've ever created.
It's already happened with Ashley Babbitt. If you look at right-wing Twitter, Ashley Babbitt is the woman that was shot by the Capitol Police. Very far right-wing Twitter has already declared her a martyr for the cause.
Sure. Yeah.
Not recognizing the things that she did wrong to get put in that situation to begin with.
Let's go ahead and start to try to wrap this up and work our way into completing what Dakota calls the worst day in America's political history, which is completely ignoring Jesse's last election defeat.
Yeah, I would honestly agree. That was definitely the worst day.
That was the worst day in Henry County political history.
I would say the world. I would say the world.
Jesse lost. I lost. It was terrible.
I put my heart and soul in that race. Blood, sweat, and tears.
I think the presidency's too powerful. We shouldn't care this much.
Well, no, that was people got upset.
The imperial presidency needs to end, and it shouldn't matter in your life, Dakota, if it's Biden or Trump, right. And we should just move on.
And I went to the pub to let the whole thing blow over, Simon Pegg, and was like, and people are in there, and I'm like, yeah, like, some people are going to show up because they're upset, and I'm like, they're like, well, how could you not be? I'm like, because I don't give a shit about the presidency. I was like, fuck DC. I don't care about it. I really don't care about it. I was like, because it really, outside of them robbing me, they do nothing for me. And like they're like, I don't know how to compute that, like,
they are continuing social traditions and social institutions that have helped shape your life into what it is. And continue on the trajectory of somewhat normalcy.
I would say the folklore that the presidency matters has done that. Yes.
No, I'm not talking about the presidency.
The peaceful transfer of power is important to me.
Well, it is power.
Right. That is very important.
I don't want people storming the courthouse when I win, like, or lose, right? I'm going to be like, well, you guys are idiots. Shut up. We'll just do it again next year. You didn't even show up when I wanted to go door to door. Get out of here. Like, cause they won't do it. They'll be like, well, I'm busy, man. I got to eat a sandwich, watch a football game. They don't care. They don't care about politics. No one cares. They just
local politics.
But people they have halo effect and they just get drawn to it. Like lights or whatever, moths to flames or whatever. But you're like, you guys are
they have
dumb.
that blue check mark, so they're celebrities.
It's because they got bombarded with it on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, exactly. And
So
again,
it seems like it matters a lot.
and I forget if it was in our chat or someone, but someone's like, the only really person laughing today is Putin. I was like, guaranteed. He is loving this.
So the other, what would have been 3-inch type in every newspaper has become, it didn't even make the paper, but 2 Senate seats were selected yesterday.
Yep.
The Democrats defeated the 2 Republicans, what the hell's her name? Loeffler and Purdue both lost. We getting 2 new Democrat senators from Georgia.
It's 50-50 now.
And it's going to be 50-50. So you're going to have a new
Harris is
majority leader. However, there are 2
Disruptor.
very conservative Democrats. So I don't think we're completely in line for pure socialism
We
coming your
don't
way.
necessarily have to worry about doing away with the filibuster and also packing the courts.
Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are there, West Virginia and Arizona senators. So I think you're going to still have some reasonableness in Congress. It's going to be okay.
The thing to worry about, though,
I think you
would
just
be
showed your
like-
true colors there.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's not going to be.
We're going to be
extremism.
fine. I'm like, who's we?
You're not going to have massive changes. It's going to be fine. Going to be okay. Life as you knew it 5 years ago is still probably going to be.
No, that's what they
If
said.
you might get a
2
little
years
bit,
ago.
a little decorum. I think the GOP, and this is the final thing Dakota wanted to talk about in the notes, is the GOP just completely gutted now in this.
I think the
Trump era.
fracture that's happening is solidified now. Like we've talked about a fracture. When President Trump got elected, we've talked about this fracture.
There were never Trumpers, and then they all had to shut up for 4 years.
Yep. And
Ted Cruz is one of them.
well, we literally, I think at the time we were, so what's happened during the Trump, reign or whatever you want to call it is that we have gotten the Freedom Caucus out of it. I think the Freedom Caucus will eventually grow. But I think the fracturing that we've seen in the GOP, I think that's solidified now. I think the people who were scared straight, were like, oh, this is real. And yeah, we have to start separating ourselves from the people. Even if we agree on 50% of it out of spite, no, try to banish them and get rid of them.
I think the violence cost them. I think the violence was a big deal.
No, I think it did. But I'm with kind of like what he's talking about. I think that woman getting shot is not good. Like when it happened, I was like, yeah, well, you just created a complete terrorist organization. Good job.
Dan Crenshaw, Texas congressman, Navy SEAL, one eye. He made these gigantic series of advertisements trying to elect fellow Republicans in Texas in 2020, where it was like Save Texas was the theme.
Yep.
And it was all about just supporting the party. And then yesterday, during the madness, he sent out a tweet that literally just said, "Stop this bullshit now."
Yep. Yeah. Rand did the same
I think
thing.
that's the mood of the sane side.
Yep. And Rand was there. Rand said some stuff that I really liked yesterday. But pretty much I'm on your side or whatever on we need to, the elections are, I'm not going to use the word rig because I don't think the rig is the right word, but
They're not rigged, but we know that there's voter fraud.
Yeah,
how much we don't know, and they should probably look into it.
And I said, again, my point, I think in the chat was, I don't think there's ever enough that's going to cause a presidency to flip.
Mm-hmm.
But your local
Decentralized.
elections definitely can be rigged. It can be thrown by 1 or 2 votes. It can happen. I've seen it. And that is where it matters. And once we have to create some better integrity into our elections and get rid of this nonsense that first off, it just takes too long. We've been done voting for months.
Well, not in Georgia.
Well, sure. But the runoff race. But yeah, anyway, I hope what comes out of this, and the kind of like Rand said is I understand being upset, but resorting to violence is not the answer. Right. And that's kind of why we're all here, but you need to channel that energy and anger into productive work. And that is, how do we build more elections that have better integrity? And he used different phrasing, but that's really what he's getting at. And electoral integrity, I think, is probably what he said. But
Producer Zach, we've reached that time in the show where we have to do final thoughts. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I'll roll off what Jesse was saying. I think, they need to work on. I don't mind a patchwork system of electoral, like kind of state to state thing, because I think if you centralize that too much, then it makes it too easy to mess with. But if it's like, it'd take a lot of work to figure out how to hack like a bunch of different states. But yeah, the thing that's kind of seems to be the balance with that is to make them secure without limiting access, because that seems to be the thing that it appears. If you listen to Democrats, they'll tell you that every time you're securing an election, you're making it harder to vote. It shouldn't be harder. You can make things more secure without being harder. But it's just been an interesting week, and let's hope. I mean, I saw a funny post yesterday. One of the few funny posts that said, I reject after my free 7-day trial of 2021, I want to return it and get a new one. It's like it's like 2021 is not looking. So hopefully things can calm down, and I hope that at least yesterday maybe it'll be a turning point, and that the Republicans will at least say, we're not dealing with people like that. We're done with that. We're cutting that out of here, and we're going to get back to what we believe in. And it's not necessarily just being, the tribalist kind of thing. So hopefully it'll be a little more civil.
I think January 21st is the day 2021 starts.
Yeah.
After the Trump era is over, that's when we're actually starting.
It's kind of like your fiscal year in businesses.
Yeah. That's what we're observing it starting in January. You have new leadership, and in the United States, 2021 starts January 21st. That's when we're. Are you okay?
Yeah.
A little shake? A little too much bourbon, buddy?
No, I had a random cough.
No coughing. Riddle?
You're not allowed to cough in 2021.
Snuck up on me so fast I didn't even have a chance to cover my mouth.
He had a seizure, everybody.
That's another carryover from 2020. No coffee until you're vaccinated.
Jesse, what you got?
Final thoughts?
Yep. Buy some stuff from you on Etsy, right?
No. I mean, if you want to, go for it.
What's your Etsy shop name?
Naked Viking 32.
I really don't remember. I need to change it. I think on the last show I talked about like a nerd squirrel. It's going to be something I'm doing a venture on. I want to
Jesse works at the speed of smell. He has ideas, but getting them out there.
I work a full-time job and I drink. So in between those two things, I get work done.
He's a Bill Gates, but he needs a Steve Ballmer.
Well, I am the Steve Ballmer, because he was the one that, anyway, there's a whole IT joke about the Ballmer curve if you're not aware of it. But yeah. But anyway, nerd. The final thoughts are, I highly recommend trading in some of your Federal Reserve notes, definitely based on the episodes of yesterday, and hedging your bets on the Federal Reserve note and buy something in cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is still a great option. You might lose some in this year, but going on, it'll still be a good gamble for you. I guarantee you.
You would rather have cryptocurrency than owning companies?
No. Or property. I mean, I'm like, that's
because literally, if you have stocks or mutual funds, you'd rather have cryptocurrency than that?
No, it's a hedge. So I didn't take all of my IRAs and move them into crypto, but I still to hedge right now. There are hedge managers and stuff and some other financial investors who are 5 to 10% of your investments should be there. So, I highly recommend it. I've been on this show for years and Bitcoin was only $5,000 when we talked about it. Today. It broke $40,000. So everybody's like, it's all time high. Don't do it. Guess what? You're going to lose some, but eventually you're going to win. So I think that's anything,
what
just learn about
cryptos do you currently own?
I own some Bitcoin. I own.
What are those numbers?
Cardano. How much Bitcoin I own?
No, the number of your Bitcoin. Could you read that out?
Probably 0.006 something.
No, it's got a code. It's like a 17-string
No, that's
code.
your wallet.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to put my wallet out there. But I'm like, what are you talking about?
We're all amongst friends.
He's like, there's codes and stuff. You got codes. That's your number. That's how much Bitcoin
Jeremiah's trying to make up for his gambling going down a couple of days ago. He's like, I'm going to make some money this week.
Yeah, well, crypto. You would have made money if you put money in last week.
He's going to take your money.
So
brought home $115 in gambling winnings on Sunday night.
So Bitcoin, I own Bitcoin. I own some Cardano. I own some Monero.
Is that like Kardashian's version?
No, Cardano is kind of like a competitor to Ethereum. I'm not a big Ethereum fan. Everything that's built on Ethereum is trash, but that's for the geeks out there.
We broke $40,000.
Yeah, it's today.
And then immediately went down to 37.
Yeah, and there's been support at 37, and
somebody lost 6%.
Yeah. So, well, like 2 weeks ago, it fell the most it's ever fallen in its life, and it was still above 30K.
You know
And it
who's
was like
you know whose stock seems to have gone up a bunch?
Tesla.
Duke Energy. My electric bill used the same amount of power I did last year. Went from a $300 bill to a $400 bill in January.
Who knows if the stock went up that much, though?
But yeah.
Well, they're frittering
is
away the
another
money
stock,
then.
crypto I own. I wasn't done listing my portfolio, if you don't. But anyway, a bunch of other like miscellaneous stuff. But I would say
Doge?
I do have 103 Doge, and that's how much I own. I used to own.
So those are like 40 grand a piece.
103 Doge.
103 Doge.
Are you serious?
Like grains of salt. Yeah.
That's like, what is that? $1?
$2. It was like $2. I got that from what they call like a faucet.
He got it on Farmville.
No, well, it's essentially Farmville. You do a bunch of work. Like I was transcribing things that it looked like they didn't have the OCR technology. So you would write it by hand, and then they would be like, and then they would use consensus through everybody to be like, oh yeah, we feel like we're going to award you because that was correct.
Okay, I'm cutting off your final thoughts.
I know. I was like, we're done.
I can't do this anymore.
Thank you so much.
I have like
Dakota.
I have like 6,000 Doge.
Nice. What's that, like $40?
55.
This is like Mexican pesos over here. He's like, oh yeah, I've got 10,000
But
pesos.
so here, real quick before I go,
I have 3 Bitcoin.
there are people who have hundreds of thousands of Doge, and which was like when I looked at like 2 or 3 weeks ago, that was like $3,000 worth. It went up like 300%. So like their $3,000
is now
into,
9,000,
like $12,000 or something. Sure. Yeah, it was insane.
Okay, whatever. I'm just going to keep shoveling in mutual funds, and I'm going to be okay. I'm going to make 10 or 12% a year, and I'm going to be fine. And I wish you all the best.
I wish that I had thrown my entire 401k at Tesla.
Yeah,
sure.
He's the richest man today.
In the past 5 years, they've gone up 1,700%.
Sure.
Yeah. Elon turned into the richest man today.
Sure. For now. Good for him. That's great. Hopefully they make it.
I have weekly buy orders set up for Tesla.
There you go.
I'm an elite.
I'm done. I'm done talking.
Dakota, you got anything for us?
I have some final thoughts. They're not a sponsor, but I was brought onto the team of I'm now a real. Is
this about soap?
Yep, I'm a real brand ambassador. They hired me. There's a whole email process and everything.
This is because of your beard, isn't it?
It's because he's been working out.
I do have some beard oil on the way. From Duke Cannon. They're a men's hygiene company. And so I've been using their stuff for a while. And then I was, apparently people found out, Audrey told people before the holidays. So I was gifted a bunch of Duke Cannon soap. And if you don't know, they're called big ass bars of soap because they're larger than your cell phone. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to look into this.
Check
so
local listings on the size of your cell phone.
And they asked me they asked me for links to all my social media. They asked me to send them a picture and why I should be considered. Like, it was a whole thing. They said yes. So now I'm a brand ambassador for Duke Cannon Supply Company.
Nice.
And
you get nothing out of it. They're not sending you soap?
Give him some soap.
They're giving me some stuff. I also get commissions.
Nice.
On sales.
Some referral. A referral.
So he's it's like one of these where if you find 3 people to buy soap and sell
It's
soap.
not that way.
No, it's not that way. It's not a pyramid scheme.
You need to buy 400 boxes
He's just
of
an
soap.
influencer at this
No,
point.
you just buy soap. You use my coupon code.
What's your code?
Which is BBDD2020.
What?
That's a BBDD.
Big Dakota's donkey.
BBDD2020.
Big. You fill out the rest, folks.
Dakota Davis.
How long till there's an Instagram post where Dakota's in just a towel, looks like he's fresh out of the shower, holding his big ass bar of soap.
I was going to wait till he's finished. I was like, did you have to like take shirtless photos to do like?
I did not. No.
He's gonna be like the guy from the Old Spice commercial, like a centaur body.
Are you and
when you start sending away for bronzer, I'm going to be worried.
I was gonna say if you was an Aubrey or Audrey, I always forget.
Audrey.
Are you and Audrey gonna have to take like the shower? Like I always get these things in my Facebook feed. They're like, "Oh, he smells so great," and they're just like, they're in the shower together, and the whole commercial takes place while they're in the shower. I hate Facebook marketing because it's like walking down like
Yeah, it is so bad.
It's so bad.
There's so many cringy videos.
Yeah, it's just terrible. Anyway, it just seems like I'm in a weird market. Like it's the weirdest marketplace I've ever been in.
But you get 10% off. I get a cut of the money.
Sure.
And
Referrals
it's
are
a win-win for me and you.
Yeah.
You get great soap that smells good and is all natural. That's not going to suck the testosterone out of your body.
Oh, wow.
Which is great.
You use soap?
I do.
It
And
looks pretty clean.
I'm
cut and clean.
I'm right now
I don't
wearing.
know what parts of them are cut.
I'm right now using my Buffalo Trace scented Babos, which is the acronym for Big Ass Bar Soap.
Babos.
Babos.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So, what about that whiskey? We bought it. You got it on the Christmas episode. How is it? You've been
Do you
working
want
on
to
it
give me my rating?
Yeah, I want to know.
Apparently, it is an infinity bottle, meaning that it never ends because I've made like 3 pours out of this, and it still looks like it's full.
I just keep adding water to it.
What brand is it?
It's Indiana whiskey.
Okay, cool.
The Indiana whiskey, distilled in South Bend, Indiana.
You guys have affiliates with them yet?
No,
we do not.
You need to work on
He
them.
gave it to me for Christmas.
I know. You got it on the show. It's been facing camera, brand for center.
Yep, we should. We'll send them this episode.
I mean, Great
ask them what
Lakes.
they think.
If you guys want to,
Yeah,
also,
the Great Lakes Brewing
Company, not supporting the show, but
So there's no tasting notes that are listed on the bottle, but I'm going to go ahead and say there is a strong forward taste of cherry. Very strong forward taste of cherry. And then on the back,
maraschino or dark?
Maraschino.
he doesn't know his cherries.
And then on the back side, you get barrel char.
Like the tree.
You get barrel char and acetone.
Okay.
Oh, that's not good.
It's not bad. Acetone is not a bad thing.
Okay.
It just means it tastes strong.
Really quickly, I'm going to let y'all know on the COVID side that I'm still clean. Henry County is still red. The COVID vaccine is available to anybody, essentially anybody in the healthcare industry. The state of Indiana Health Department has updated their list of personnel that's okay, and it is an incredibly massive list. If you have anything that requires you to have scrubs or see somebody that wears scrubs, you pretty much can go. If you work in any sort of a patient-facing opportunity, you're good.
I thought service industry folks were available now.
If you work in a pharmacy, if you're a physical therapist, if you are a school nurse, if you work as a funeral director, almost anything, you're good to go. If you're a speech pathologist, you can get it.
I am one of those.
Long-term care facility residents are eligible now, so they can get them at this time. First responders, cops, sheriff's department, DNR conservation officers, all of those folks, EMS, they're all ready to get it. You just have to sign up. And then starting yesterday, January 6th, anybody ages 80 and over is eligible for it. And then the state's going to continue to release it as you drop down in age. So Dakota is going to be a generation behind all of us that are over 30.
I will not. I will be getting it in like the third phase.
Why is that?
Because
he's infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen that part announced yet. I'm
there's
infrastructure too. I don't know what counts or doesn't count.
It's
Well, I mean, he's touching stuff.
They said it. The CDC sent out the guidelines, and I forget. It literally said some sort of tier 3.
This is some of the confusion
that utility workers fell under.
This is some of the confusion between the state system and the federal government's version of what.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if the state is following what the
I have some
CDC
friends who are
recommends.
teachers, and they were told that they could get it.
Yeah, I've heard
and
this.
And they're kind of told, they're like, well, can you sign there? And he said there was a bunch of spots to sign up. And they're like, and they called to check and like, hey, we're teachers. And they're teachers at a school that's at least partially in person still. And they're like, the worst we could do is tell you when you know when you get here, but go ahead and try. And so they're going to try tomorrow.
There you go. I learned today that the iPhone speaker is on the bottom. I didn't know that. So that's
hashtag TIL.
That's great. That's great to know. We'll be back on Thursday of next week. Our boy Justin Juice Kelly is going to be here of Juice in the Morning or whatever his show is called now. I think he's rebranded, relaunched.
I think he is merely. I think he's a producer for our friend Matt Wharton's podcast
for the highly inappropriate podcast.
Yeah. Now they're HI Entertainment.
Yes.
Did somebody break it to him that the Oyos no more?
Nope. He's going to have to find that out when he rolls into town.
Rest in peace, Oyo.
There's Oyos other places, though.
This is, rest in peace, Newcastle Oyo. This has been fun. We appreciate it. Thanks you all for joining. We will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Boss Hog of Liberty, which is part of the We Are Libertarians Network. I am Chris Spangle, and I am the founder of this network, and I invite you to listen to all of our shows, which you can find at wearelibertarians.com or by searching for these in your podcatcher. The flagship show is the We Are Libertarians podcast, where we apply libertarian principles to current events. The Brian Nichols Show is a conversation amongst Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Independents, as they talk about what is happening in the news. And we have many other podcasts like The Chris Spangle Show, Upward, The Cost, Raw Audio Politics, Miranda's World, and Tad Talk, which is quite a ride. So check all of these out. Go to wearelibertarians.com and you can check out all of our great podcasts. Thanks for listening. Thank you for listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Get our other shows at wearelibertarians.com. We Are Libertarians Plus members enjoy many benefits like exclusive bonus shows like Build the Wall and Ideological Origins, lifetime access to my exclusive private newsletter at chrisspangle.com, early release of episodes with commercial-free shows, and a full feed of the show with 700 more episodes than you can find in the public feed. You'll also get merch and the opportunity to be a guest on the show. Most importantly, Wall Plus members support a new generation of opinion journalists by bringing an independent libertarian perspective to the news. Enjoy these benefits immediately by visiting joinwallplus.com. In the span of 2 years, podcast advertising has become a billion-dollar industry. Why? Changes to social media and search engines aren't getting the same results as they used to. And let's be honest, why would anyone want to financially support them? Plus, the loyal audiences of audio brands have a better return on investment. Need more convincing on that? Look up Edison Research's Infinite Dial. As the longest-running libertarian network, the audience of the We Are Libertarians podcast network have been our partners in growth for almost a decade. We are looking for advertisers that will enhance the lives of our listeners, and we have only 6 slots available for companies that are looking to grow with us. Volume matters in advertising, and no other libertarian brand can offer you over 40 episodes across 10 shows a month while reaching tens of thousands of people for one easy monthly payment. It is simple. Email me now, Chris Spangle, at chrisspangle.com, and let us start supporting your business as you support ours.